All right, check it out. So in the last video, I forgot one little thing. If you got into this, then you realize there is a splitter that looks like this. And I didn't use it for one of them. Oh, yeah, so you need this for the repeater, the booster thingamajigger I was mentioning in the last video. Because once you come out of either the, if you're going to come out of like the 9-volt to 5-volt converter, you're going to either do you're going to do a couple different things. I just can't remember what I did in here. I would run the USB off of the back of the converter to either this or run your main power. Nope, that's exactly what I did. So you have your 9-volt that comes out of your battery. That looks like it comes out of that black hole right there. That one right there. So that's going to come out. It's going to go into the converter. Then you're going to go from the converter. You're going to plug the USB in the back side of the converter, if you referenced the drawings in the last video. And then you're going to plug that back in here. So then one of these is going to go into the remote, the radio frequency remote. The other one is going to go into the booster, the repeater. I totally forgot to mention that because that thing's powered and you got to juice it up. And so that's what you're going to want to do for this. And then the other line that comes off the battery, let's just say it's this one. That's going to go straight in to that little, what is that thing at? The green plug that I referenced. I'm not going to get out. The green plug that I referenced in the last video where you're going to be running your positive negative. So check this out. So let me show you something. So you're probably like, oh, he's trying to clean this up. So notice I have this gap here. That's going to get hidden because I'm going to put this, I call it a shroud. I'm going to have that thing kind of tucked in all the way around. It's like a fabric, it's going to have a hole in the middle, so it's going to kind of hug my neck a little bit so you won't be able to see even my chin. This won't happen if you follow the directions like I mentioned in the video, because when I was piling up all the wires along the side, it got really thick. I had all these extra wires in here and everything, and I had like this bulge. And I knew that was happening as I was doing it, and I was just like, not trying to like go back and rerun a whole bunch of different wires. So this won't happen to you. To me, it's going to be hidden with the shroud, but yours is going to be more of a cleaner look like this, and that comes like right to this. And so what I did is I took the brown cardboard cylinder tube, which was this. So this was a big round tube, and which is in the last couple of videos. And I was like, okay, and I wanted to kind of, as I mentioned, stick it down in there, and it would expand and fit in there. And because of this, it just wasn't going to work. So what I did is I trimmed these into just no particular length whatsoever, but I went in and then I stuck them in here, and they tucked, as you can see here on this side, they tucked right up underneath here. And I kind of went around the edge. I kind of was like, okay, I stuck that in there, and I tucked it back nice and tight. And you can see I used some black duct tape, and I held it at the bottom, and then it kind of tucked up here. And then I used hot glue gun, and I created I just kind of glued that right there so it would kind of hold it in there. And I didn't go all the way around to the front. I just did this kind of like 3/4. Like here's the front. And so I kind of went this way all the way around just to really hide as much of the wires as possible. Then, as I'll put the link to this in, I'll put the link to this next piece. This is foam sheets. They're 10 by 10, and you tear off the yellow side. It's adhesive, and so what I did is I stuck those down in there after I got all that cardboard stuff in, and then I I stuck it in there nice and tight. And it's kind of like a squishy material. It's nice. It's comfortable if it's, you know, rubbing up against your face or whatever if you're in there. And so that made it all nice and blacked everything all out. And you can see down there, this is 12 inches deep, and so there's a little gap there on the bottom. And I didn't really mess with that because what I'm gonna do is put my helmet in there, and then I'm gonna glue the helmet in, and then I'm gonna put foam in there to really kind of lock it in. This is great stuff. The link should be in the description to this. It's not that expensive. You can see I've been messing with this. Top's all jacked up. That was another project I was using it on. And so I'm gonna stick the helmet down in there. I'm gonna hot glue all the way around so it's stuck, but that's gonna be, I mean, it's not gonna be that's not gonna be in there really good, just some hot glue. And then I'm gonna have the helmet in there, and I'm gonna squirt all that expanding foam all the way around in there. It's gonna fill up, and then I'm gonna go back and kind of trim it down if it swells up too much. And now I'm gonna line that up. So this is what I was working on yesterday. So here's the helmet. So that, if you remember the very first video, this was the helmet. I used that diamond plate disc for the cutting wheel. The cutting wheel on the Dremel tool. Oh man, it worked like a charm. I'd probably do it in like a ventilated area because it really kind of heats up and starts to melt this, and it kind of stinks. It's probably not good for you, so I would do it in a ventilated area. And so this used to be the front, the side that my hand's holding. And because, and again, you won't probably have to do this as much, but because I have this bulge right here, I had to really make the helmet as small as possible to fit in there. So that's the back. And you can see I have my 4 wires hanging there. This goes to one battery, this goes to another battery, and I'm hoping to God that when I put this in here, these batteries will fit. It's gonna be real close. It's gonna be real close if these batteries fit along the side. I might have to trim, I mean, if it's like within a 1/4 inch, I might have to trim some of this off, and I'm gonna use double-sided tape, which I'll put a link in the description what I'm using. It's Gorilla Tape. It's black Gorilla Tape, double-sided tape, and I'll just literally stick that. I'll pick a side, probably this side, stick the tape all over it so it's like, because these things aren't light, I mean not too heavy, maybe a 1.5 pounds or so, and then I'll stick it in there this way with the switch facing down, so if I'm holding it, I can easily, well, for one, if I want to charge it, I want to be able to plug it in. But also if I'm walking around and I want to turn it off and not have the battery just sitting there, I can do that. So that's kind of the next things. And so this, as you can see, oh, and you got to trim the top off, and I would slowly do it. So take a little bit off the time. Literally, I just took a pen, didn't really measure. I put the helmet on my head and kind of was like, okay, this is where it needs to sit off the top. So you don't want depending on how big you are, you don't want this resting on your shoulders. And so I kind of measured. I'm like, okay, that's about how much I need to have the helmet sitting off. And as you can see here, this is going to go down in there. And obviously I'm going to move those wires out of the way. So that's going to sit down in there like that. You can see it's super tight. And my prayers are answered. This will fit in there. And if it doesn't, well, it might. It's going to be like crazy close. That's going to be, I don't know. If it doesn't fit, that's my bad. You won't have that problem because you're not going to have this issue here. This is going to be pushed all the way over, and those should fit in there nice and snug. So if it doesn't fit, then I'm just going to have these things in my pockets, and I'll run the extension. If you saw the first video, I was a little worried if I'd be able to do this, but I'll have these kind of bound together in an extension, and I'll tuck that in my coat or whatever, hoodie or whatever I'm wearing to complement the get up, and have this in my pockets, and it won't be a big deal. It'll probably be a lot better doing that way anyway, because this thing has got some weight to it. I'd say this thing is at least 10 pounds right now. 10 pounds with all those lights and everything I got in there. So that's where we are right now, and I'll give you an update once I got that foam and that mounted in there, and we'll be almost done. And like I said, I got to clean this up. I'm gonna strip this. I'm gonna see if I can get some paint stripper and not have to sand it, because I'm worried if I vibrate this thing too much. I don't want to vibrate any of this thing's free. And yeah, then I'll show you how to do the shroud. I guess that's what it's called. It's going to go around this. It'll kind of hug my neck a little bit. And that's it.